Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about how Man of Steel, what the heck, Man of Steel 2 is apparently back, and Henry Cavill, Superman, which will imply that Henry Cavill is coming back as Superman in Man of Steel 2, which I'm reading this article off of Den of Geek, which I'm aware that Warner Brothers, whoever owns DC now, they're under new management, and I know for a while we were going to get no more Henry Cavill Superman, and truth be told, that was sad for me, because I know not everyone loves Man of Steel, but I enjoyed Man of Steel. I genuinely enjoyed Man of Steel, and I think that movie deserved to be have a sequel. So when I heard that it was not going to have a sequel, I was kind of sad, because at this point we had Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and Justice League. Now, say what you want with the Justice League theatrical cut and Batman vs Superman, I have to say that Henry Cavill was a pretty good Superman. He's a pretty good Superman. I cannot lie. Now, I did enjoy I did enjoy Batman vs Superman a bit more than I did the theatrical cut of Justice League, and I did enjoy the Snyder's cut version of the Justice League a bit more than the theatrical cut of the Justice League. Just saying. But in both films, or if you wanted to put the Snyder cut version of the Justice League as a movie of its own, besides the theatrical cut, then in all three films, I feel like Henry Cavill, and if you count Man of Steel, so 4, in all 4 films, Henry Cavill did a good job as Superman. I have to admit. So, with that said, let's read the article. Warner Bros. Is said to have an intense desire to make Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill returning as Superman. The search for a director and writer is on. There are a few divisive movies among all the fandoms than Zack Snyder's 3 DC movie efforts, which is Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Dawn of Justice, and Justice League, either version, and they do mean the theatrical cut or the extended cut that I kind of mentioned. While the filmmakers generally delivered a singular version of a particular version of what has been known as the DCEU should look and feel like, it lacked a universal appeal among both fans and critics, and the box office of all 3 films reflected that. What Warner Bros. Had hoped was the beginning of a shared cinematic universe to rival Marvel Studios, with Man of Steel almost a decade led into a rushed team-building exercise of Batman vs Superman, and ultimately a version of the Justice League that absolutely nobody was happy with, from ticket buyers to critics to executives. I have to admit that even though I did enjoy Man of Steel, and I preferred the Batman vs Superman over the theatrical cut of the Justice League, the one thing I have to give these people is that the DCEU was too rushed to form the characters together. They so wanted to kind of be to catch up with Marvel that they forgot what Marvel did with its Phase 1, which was taking their time introducing each character, right? So we had Iron Man 1, where we got introduced with Tony Stark. Iron Man 2, where we got introduced with Tony Stark. Tony Stark, of course, came back. Nick Fury, essentially, and Black Widow. And I think Miranda Hill was also in Iron Man 2. Oh, and Phil Coulson was in Iron Man 1. And I believe in Iron Man 2, because I believe those 2 movies came out before the Avengers movies. And then we had the first Thor movie, where we got introduced to Thor and Loki. And in Captain America: The First Avenger, we got introduced to Steve Rogers, and I feel like I should say that in Thor, we got a tease of Hawkeye, as well. So by the time the first Avengers came around, with the exception of Hawkeye, which I feel like we didn't really get an introduction to. Really, we only seen him, not an introduction to him. We at least seen and got introduced with most of our Avengers, most of our main leads, which will be in the first Avengers movie, which will essentially carry the first 4 phases of the MCU, essentially. But they took their time. They didn't rush. They took their time. Oh, and we got the Incredible Hulk movie too. I forgot about that in Phase 1. But the actors changed. But we still got Bruce Banner, the Hulk, introduced. So that counts. But my point is, the MCU kind of took their time introducing the characters, which is why I feel like the Avengers was so successful. Yes, you can also say that the reason why Avengers was so successful was because it was our first on-screen superhero team-up. I mean, we got the Fantastic Four, but we already knew the Fantastic Four was a group of people together already from the get-go. The Avengers, on the other hand, were solo heroes coming together. They did not exactly see eye to eye, more so than the two versions of the Fantastic Four that we got. But we got heroes that we didn't see eye to eye at first, having to work through their differences, put their differences aside, to band together to stop this threat. The threat being Loki in the first movie, Ultron in the second movie, and essentially the big player of the first 3-4 phases, or 3 phases, 3-4 phases. I don't know. I forget what phase they're on right now, but within the first few phases being Thanos. Thanos being was the big player that was pulling the strings essentially from Iron Man 1 to Avengers Endgame. So yeah. But the DCEU, they rushed it. We had Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman. I think we had Wonder Woman as well before the Justice League. Or was it after the Justice League? Now I think about it, I think Wonder Woman came out after the Justice League. And so we had Batman vs Superman, Justice League, and Man of Steel. We should have, in my opinion, and correct me if I'm wrong about Wonder Woman, by the way, but we should have had at least a Cyborg movie before. I shouldn't say that because the extended cut did give us a backstory of Cyborg, but we should have got an Aquaman movie before the Justice League. And now I think about it, I do think that we got a Wonder Woman movie before the Justice League. So we got a Wonder Woman movie before the Justice League. We should have gotten a wait, no. Now I'm confused. Correct me if I'm wrong. Help me. Regardless, we should have had at least 2 of the heroes movies that come out before Justice League, because everybody really knows Man of Steel, Superman's origin story, and we got Man of Steel. We should have at least got 2 other superhero movies, like solo movies, before getting to the Justice League. And we got potentially Wonder Woman, which I am having trouble remembering if it came out before Justice League, which I'm pretty sure it did. But I don't know. I don't know. But this is supposed to be a Man of Steel 2 article, and I feel like I'm taking things off the rail. And I do apologize if I am. Anyway, let's get back to the article. One thing everyone can agree on: none of that was stars Henry Cavill's fault. Hell, wait, did I skip? Yeah, okay. Other than Ben Affleck as Batman, another great actor and performance lost in a miasma of questionable filmmaking choices and behind the scenes drama. It's tough to imagine another superhero actor who got a more of a raw deal than Civil in recent years. Never mind the fact that Civil looked like he stepped off of a comic page and that he seemed like he could have sculpted from the chunk of the Fortress of Solitude itself. He gave an utterly sincere Superman performance with the underlining warmth that belied the grim tone of the stars films he starred in. He even been gracious enough, even after the critical ravaging and box office underperformance of the Justice League, to say all the right things when it came to the possibility of putting on the cape again. The guy has been an equivalent of the star player whose team is never able to win around him, whose fans gave him hell, and who still writes a gracious open letter to fans about their passion when he departs from another team to free agency. Warner Bros. Is certainly under no illusions that about how important Superman is or should be to their cinematic strategy, but according to a new report in THR, outgoing WB executive Walter Hamada had been one blocking the prospect of Civil return to the role. However, that same report indicates that the studio has an intense desire to reprise the Civil iteration of the hero, and a project that would essentially be Man of Steel 2 has a producer, Chris Ruffin, and a series of writers. What's interesting is that this comes as part of a report that indicates that the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker helmer James Gunn has pitched two secret DC projects in the studio. While he isn't named as a potential director for Man of Steel 2 in the THR report, it should be noted that he has flirted with the character more than once. I'm sorry if, hey, when my laptop goes black, but I'll repeat that sentence. While he isn't named as a potential director for Man of Steel 2 in the THR report, it should be noted that he has flirted with the character more than once. Having been offered Superman when Warner Bros. First bought him over from Marvel Studios, and again when he considered making the last Son of Krypton the main threat of the Suicide Squad. However, the studio is said to be looking for writers and none of other than Chris McGuire, the writer and director of the two of the best Mission Impossible movies in Rogue Nation and Fallout, not to mention the next two, is on their wish list. McGuire has his own history with DC Superman, as having pitched both Man of Steel 2 and a Green Lantern Corps movie a few years back. And I would love to see a Green Lantern movie. So love. Given the fact that he'll be tied up with Mission Impossible movies at Paramount for the next few years, it seems McGuire could write or direct a DC flick after time soon. Let alone this Superman sequel, we can dream. Maybe when the time comes, he'll be available to make the Green Lantern Corps flick. And assuming that this is true, I'll be excited to see Henry Cavill reprising his role as Superman, because I think he's a really good Superman, and I think that he deserves to be I feel like he deserves a shot to have be a star of his own movie again in terms of the DC comics. And if Man of Steel 2 does come out, I'll be happy for him. And like I said, he is a really good Superman. Debatably, my favorite Superman. He's my favorite Superman, along with Tyler Hoechlin, who played Superman in Superman Lois. He's pretty much is known to be the Arrowverse version of Superman. So Tyler Hoechlin and Henry Cavill are my two favorite Superman currently, as I'm making this video. Could change in the future, but like I said, if this article rings out to be true, then I'll be very happy for Henry Cavill. Very, very happy. But what do you guys think? Let me know of this article. Let me know in this the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I'll talk to you guys later as I nearly boomed my outro. 3, 2, 1. See ya.